Today at Eppy Shop, we're having twerk off. Today at Eppy Shop, you find out what I'm willing to do for a Klondike bar. Today at Eppy Shop, burnouts of the Scion. Yo, what it is, guys, and welcome back to another installment of the Chop Shop. And as you can see, I got Sandy, the F100, out of the garage temporarily. Just kind of makeshifted her together enough to get her out because our daily ride that we take to and from work needs a little bit of maintenance. And while we are not working, I'm going to take the time to put this thing down or take this thing out of service and repair it. Unfortunately, it's turned out to be a bigger deal than I thought it was going to be. Shocker. But let's check out what I'm talking about. What is going on is... I might actually need to zoom out and keep this light on. That's better. But let's go to where this problem started first. This under the vehicle. What has happened is a section of exhaust that runs all the way back, comes around, and goes over the axle, as you can see, has rusted and has disconnected from its tail section, its axle back section. My intentions are to just probably eliminate that, and I'll probably just use a coupler or something and just weld these together, or just see if I can clean up enough to burn them back together themselves. The other section that is an issue is this hanger has just a bunch of small little pinholes in it, which really aren't that big of a deal, but they are kind of annoying. Now if I'm going to fix that, I'm going to fix this. The issue that I believe this caused is it made the donut gasket, which you'll be see better from the top. What it's caused is just the motion of the exhaust swaying back and forth has made this flange basically kind of sway and caused this exhaust to leak, or this gasket to leak. I have this gasket, but if you look at these bolts, there's supposed to be a spring over here that's gone. And literally these are so rusty that there's not a whole lot left of them. They're for sure gonna break. So I'm gonna have to replace this donut gasket, break those, drill those. I'm gonna have to pull this manifold off. I don't necessarily have to, but it's gonna make this job much, much easier. And I think to, again, make my life even easier, I'm probably just gonna cut that exhaust right after the converter and the O2 sensors. And because that resonator leaks, I think I'm gonna recycle a section of the F100 exhaust, and this 18-inch, or however long this cherry bomb is, will replace the resonator. Hopefully, help keep it quiet. It's going to go through the factory muffler as well. But I've got a nice, solid, straight section here, and then I'll probably just use this jog over and maybe another clean section of this to tie those two pieces together. But again, this was supposed to be, a quick little thing, and then I ran into the donut gasket, started leaking, and I don't know if you've ever heard a donut gasket leaking. It's the most annoying exhaust sound in the world. It's like a bunch of taps. And the way the exhaust broke in the rear, it points upwards. So the in-cab noise is really drony and loud. Plus you have the and it's just so annoying to drive this thing anymore. So we're gonna fix it. But again, it was supposed to be a really small repair. I was just gonna, drop that exhaust, replace that donut gasket, and replace sections of exhaust as needed, which hasn't changed. But I had no intentions on pulling that exhaust manifold, replacing that gasket, having to replace rusty bolts and springs. But the rear section, the tail section should be nice and easy, because this isn't a show car. I'm not a professional welder, fabricator, or exhaust guy. I'm just putting this thing back together so I can quietly drive to and from work again. I don't mind if it makes a little bit of rumble. I actually prefer a little bit of rumble, not for cool factor or sporty reasons. We drive back roads to and from work every day, and they are normally littered with deer. So I live by the loud pipes save lives rule, which is a Harley or a motorcycle thing, but I personally feel a little bit of rumble in your vehicle perks their ears up, makes them pay attention to you. So without further ado, tomorrow I gotta go get these parts, but let's get to work on this thing. All right, guys, so moving forward a little bit here, and I know that I said I was gonna use this rear section of muffler. I actually opted not to because the hangers were actually rusted and it was leaking at the end. So I mean, I had a hole in it too. Plans may or may not change. Again, I'm not 100% sure if I'm going to replace this whole section. I probably will. But what I did come to find out is that the tail section of the F100 shortened is real close to the factory tailpipe piece, the axle back. And I got this is just a makeshift bracket. I got it hanging from right now. It'll need to be moved over, but I mean, look at that line it follows. Right over the axle. And then, look, straight into basically the only piece I'll probably need to reuse. And then, if I so choose, I'll replace the resonator here with my cherry bomb. But as of right now, like I said, it's just a small leak. My main leak was right here, making the interior noise all vibrant and horrible. And that annoying tick up front. Now, I do have to get that manifold off and everything to replace those bolts that are bad and everything, but let's listen to what this thing sounds with just its axle back completely gone. Race car. Yeah, hear all them horsepowers. Oh, that's a lot. Now, obviously, that's really bad because the donut gasket is leaking, and since I've been prying back and forth on it, it's leaking even worse. That nasty leak will be gone up here, and the exhaust isn't welded back there, so it's still being really resonant and droney from underneath of the vehicle. That'll all be completely welded in and go all the way up past the exhaust. I don't so much mind if the people behind me or around me are annoyed by the exhaust of this thing, so much as I'm not annoyed by the exhaust of this thing. And that's my point at the end of the day, is to calm down the interior noise of this thing and get rid of the exhaust smell and everything, and that comes along with where the exhaust is leaking. Now, with that being said, I don't know if that cherry bomb is going to quiet down the exhaust any more than the factory resonator will. Probably not. I'm willing to bet that resonator is a lot more restrictive than that cherry bomb, so I'm probably going to leave it on there. And unfortunately, I don't have the length to sneak one in there, I don't think. But we'll see what happens. Let's keep on trucking along. What up, guys? And we're still here on the Scion, and this thing just back to back has kind of turned out to be a nightmare. First off, here's what's left of our donut gasket that we're replacing. Here is my heavy duty one that I ordered online, part number F31661. And I have decided that I think I'm just going to reuse just basically the downpipe center section of the exhaust for ease. But the bolts that were down here that were all rusty and stuff, I managed to cut them off, but now the exhaust manifold bolts are all seized onto the block. And with the way this is going, I'm not fighting those. This is supposed to be a simple exhaust leak, and I'm not pulling a manifold off, breaking bolts, you know, drilling, tapping ahead. You know, I'm not going that far. So I am probably going to have to half-ass this flange back together because I currently don't have the bolts. Well, I do have the bolts. I got brand new ones right here, but I'm not going to be able to reuse them or use them. I think actually what I'm going to do is use some exhaust clamps to pinch that flange together, but I'm gonna jump forward real quick. I'm actually gonna fire this thing up. I know I just fired it up with no exhaust on it, but it currently is an open exhaust manifold. No cat, no nothing, so. That's complete open manifold. That's no exhaust at all. Alright guys, so check this out. It's not my don't mind the blood, not my proudest moment in wrench turning, but believe it or not, that thing is completely and securely in place. I ran the clamps down back to back and forth, made sure they're nice and secure. The one clamp was actually a bit too short, so what I did is I just cut a little square and welded at the top of it, which literally gave it a tab at the top, and then the U-bolt, not the U-bolt, but the bracket for the U-bolt, I guess you would call it, actually hung onto or hooked onto the what was left of the bolt that was still on there. So those are actually hung there quite well. Half-assed, not the proper way to do it, but it worked. I mean, other than that, you know, I was breaking bolts off and again, you know, tapping ahead, so fuck that. And real quick, one thing I want to show you is I was at the parts store and I grabbed just a random exhaust adapter that turned out not to be the right one. What I have been able to do is take this rigid inside-outside pipe cleaner. This is for copper. I've had this thing forever. I've not used it in years. I actually just took the small side, which needed to be a little bit bigger. Put it right in there. Gave it a few tappy taps. Actually, I flipped it upside down and did it that way. Gave it a few tappy taps. Gave me a flare. The other side, I had the opposite problem. They were actually the same exact size. So, on this side, same thing. Put that on there. Tappy tap. Made it a little bit smaller. And what that would allow me to do, and you can't see, is take this guy and kind of sandwich him in there a little bit. I gotta clean it, obviously, but that'll give me a lap joint to weld on, and then this, when cut properly, will just go inside of there. Had I not just used my exhaust clamps or the flange, that's what I'll be using, but instead we're gonna have to weld. So let's get this done and see what it sounds like. Go do some race car stuff or something. Alright guys, so I got that rear section exhaust welded up. It fought me pretty bad. The exhaust was pretty rusty back there. I made it happen. As far as I could tell, no leaks. I was able to reuse some hangers, and let's hear what she sounds like. And it's gonna be loud because, you know, we're in the garage and there's no muffler. But you know, it's not so bad. Now, again, that's kind of loud, but it's loud at the tail section. So I want to get this thing off of jack stands, roll it on out of here, get you a sound clip of what it sounds like on the outside, and maybe go do some driving around or something. But I'll also do an in-cab sound, because that was what my gripe was. Remember, the reason I did this is because it was so noisy on the inside. So let's get that taken care of. What's up, guys? So as you can tell, out the tailpipe, it's quite loud. Again, you know, it's the factory like inch and 7/8. It's a really small exhaust into 2 1/4 inch straight pipe. So yeah, it's gonna be loud, but inside with the tailpipe running all the way out the back again, between your insulation and everything, you know, give this a listen. Now keep in mind, like, this had actually gotten loud enough that me and my wife were starting to have to like holler at each other. Our voices were just slowly but surely getting louder. The in-cab noise has gotten quite loud, so. Not so bad, right? And that's cold too. I mean, so you know, as the engine warms up and it builds compression and the seals seal a little bit better, that's gonna get better. I mean, this thing's idling high, it's getting a little bit of extra fuel and running rich, but it's not so bad. Let's take it for a drive. Take me a minute to back out of here. I got all the vehicles behind me. And here we go. Maiden voyage. Roll this window up so it's there. Again, still cool of this thing. Much better. I don't know if you've ever had a vehicle with a donut gasket leak or an exhaust manifold leak, but like I said earlier in the video, it's a very annoying and it doesn't really go away, especially under like hard accelerations. You definitely hear it, and that's completely gone. My drone is almost completely gone. Again, having no muffler, I'm gonna have some drone, but it's not facing directly up at the bottom of the interior like it was before. I mean, this thing was literally shooting right at the body, and it was very loud and annoying in here. But I'm gonna turn right, goose her a little, see what kind of noises she makes. Oh, that's not bad at all. Under full throttle, that's all I gotta hear. I'll take it. You know, we back road, we jump on toll roads and stuff from time to time, so I got loud when this thing downshifted, and you know, there's nothing more annoying than a vehicle that's really noisy that doesn't make any power and doesn't sound good doing it. So maybe I'll try and get some flybys of this or something, but other than that, I am way happy with my new quiet zone in my cab. It makes me real happy. But we'll get out of here away from the people, and then everyone's supposed to be quarantined, so that it shouldn't be too hard to do. Guys, that is gonna wrap up our episode. Got the exhaust flange fixed, half-ass, not the correct way. We got it fixed. We got our exhaust leak fixed, at least in my opinion, because it's other people's problems now and not mine. I'm gonna go home and re-quarantine myself. Hope everyone's doing well. If you're new, thanks for joining. Sorry I'm out of breath. Had it running there for a second. If you're new, thanks for swinging by. What up? What it is? Gang, gang. If you're usual, what up? What it is? Gang, gang. Thanks for tuning in, guys. I hope everyone and all your families are doing well. I'm gonna try and keep kicking out content with shit I had to do, you know. Try not to spend a bunch of money because we're not working, so. Deuces!